It's on both puts and calls at the $210 strike on both puts and calls. You'll see it. It looks like yeah, someone's taking an interesting position. How about that? Podcast. That's fucking hilarious. The 210 puts are sells and the calls are buys. Interesting. For those of you wondering what the fuck we're talking about, for September 15th, Johnson and Johnson, $210 calls. There's 416,000 open interest, and today someone bought roughly 96,000 of them. Then on the put side, there's also 415,000 open interest, and apparently someone sold 94,000 of them today. Ginger Man's Caffeine is insisting that puts are sells and the calls are buys. If I was taking my fundamental viewpoint, I would be more inclined to say Johnson and Johnson's probably going up. So we're buying Johnson and Johnson calls. I'll let Caffeine answer that. But yeah, that's just but Milwaukee Blizzard, yeah, the weird thing is, I mean, these call options for Johnson and Johnson, they're 13 cents on the bid, 14 cents on the ask. So they're super cheap. They're closed trades? Okay. All right, they're closed then. Ignore. MP Tosca, maybe some bankruptcy court news coming. That's what I would be anticipating. For those that don't know, Johnson and Johnson spinning off their consumer products division. All right. The question is, how are they going to be able to account for all the lawsuits over the talc powder? No one believes it will force the overall Johnson and Johnson company to go bankrupt. By the way. Yeah, Caffeine. I did talk about Disney earlier. My viewpoint is good for Disney. It's probably too cheap. I'm not buying it right now. I don't like them at all. The thing that the streamers are doing right now, though, every earnings now, we've seen it from Paramount, we've seen it from Warner Bros. Discovery, Netflix did it, and now Disney's done it. They've talked about all the free cash flow they're going to generate in the next few quarters. Do you know why they're going to generate free cash flow for the next few quarters? Because the strike is delaying new content. So it's temporary. I find it so wild. They're like, we're going to be spending less money on content. And we're like, yeah. Yeah, they're raising prices too. But the free cash, they specifically called out decreased content costs. Mm-hmm. By the way, guys, I've recently been spending time in the stocks and the investing subreddit. And I will tell you right now, generally speaking, I find them to be full of morons. Someone in here made the good observation. All right. The difference between Wall Street Bets and the stocks subreddit in Reddit is that the Wall Street Bets investors know they're idiots. The stock subreddit, they're not aware yet, which is fine. And I keep seeing all these posts about how Apple's going to buy Disney. I don't understand that. If you're Apple, you're happy about that. Oh, you would love for that to happen. Sorry, if you're Disney. If you're Apple, you're like, why the fuck would I buy Disney, right? It's a hedgy shill echo chamber. Apple might want to buy Pixar. That could actually be an interesting one. Alternatively, Apple buys Marvel. But even then, like, Usefer, you've been loving small street bets. Interesting. Stocks posts or superficial analysis. Yep. Zirconium, you don't think Disney would want to be bought out? I will disagree with that. I mean, literally, like, there's been enough reading between the lines, enough analysis that's already showing that Bob Iger is trying to break up into pieces and sell off some of the assets because they badly overpaid for, what was it, 21st Century Fox? More footprint. Does Apple need more footprint? More exposure to the public for sales. But it would kind of raise the risks for Apple, where right now they have a relatively narrow line in which they basically hold inventory. Okay, we're talking electronics. All right. For everything else, it's all intangible. It's apps, it's ads, the services, software, etc. Getting into the full, if they fully own Disney, they're now warehouses and warehouses of merchandise. It's not where they want to be necessarily, right? I do think they would need content. I'm not sure owning Disney does it. Put it this way. If their AR, VR efforts are successful, Disney will produce content for them. Why should Apple get into the high capital cost of trying to buy Disney just to generate that content, when instead they can just tax Disney 30% for the apps, right? Your bet is on a Pixar Apple partnership. I think you can have partnerships without the ownership aspect. That's what I'm saying. You think they should sell off Disney Plus to Apple TV? I don't know how that would work out. Like, basically, I mean, the value of Disney Plus is the idea that you get not only Disney's existing catalog, but as their catalog gets built out, you get all that content. Basically, it's not Disney Plus they'd be buying, it's Disney Studios. You think Apple's a more suitable buyer? That I don't disagree with. I just don't think Apple does it. Apple might be the most suitable buyer. I still don't think they'd want to do it. Disney Studios equals Pixar? Nope. Marvel and Lucasfilm, by the way, is a part of Disney Studios. Garfo, yeah, people in America tend to pay more. Oh, Apple is big enough. Apple has the money. I just don't think they would want to. You'd probably be talking about like 20 billion, 25 billion dollars. Feels like that'd be a lot. Everyone's ranting and raving about Apple TV shows. Hey, they've had some good content, yeah. But it's almost easy. I wonder if it's easier to produce content when you don't have to like support like a huge film division, like quite frankly Disney does. Anyway, I just thought that was interesting. I keep seeing it referenced, and I don't understand it. I don't understand. I think Disney wants content. I could see partnerships. I don't understand why they would want to buy specifically like a lot of like the Disney studios. But that's just me. Look at Star Bizzle. Black Raven, you don't think anyone can beat Netflix in terms of content? Netflix has been doing really good the last few years. City on Trade Desk continues to outperform industry. Multiple levers should lead to stronger, longer growth. While multiples are rich, the long-term opportunity is a significant one for Trade Desk. Yep. Trade Desk is the one thing I added today. Yeah, if you go back to painting, what are you painting? Hmm? Padres fan. Sorry, I had a client call. What'd you ever hear about Johnson & Johnson going bankrupt? No, they're not going to go bankrupt, but they are currently in a bunch of lawsuits in regards to the legacy of talc powder being used by women and causing all sorts of problems. Bob Ross, nice. Yellow Score says, why would Apple want to own the parks and cruises and all that? No one thinks they'd want to own that. They think they would just want the content, the studio. But then you're going to raise the very smart point on that, which is if Apple owned the studios and Disney owned all the merchandising, the experiences, etc., how does that work? Does it become as valuable separated? So, yeah. I got September's on Trade Desk. Very small position. Yeah, this is why, by the way, they got absolutely bludgeoned. And I actually thought they had pretty good earnings. This is an expensive company, don't get me wrong. Zirconium, you gotta go, everyone. You're modeling nude for some perv painter. Yeah, all of my gambles are very small. The funny thing was, I actually had a pretty big gamble recently. I just didn't. If it's particularly large, I don't want to tell you guys. I don't want you guys then jumping in. What's Oracle looking like? We should talk about earnings. By the way, do earnings even matter now today? Let's check it out. No, no, they don't. You have Onto and you have Indie Semiconductor tonight. I'll be honest, I don't give a fuck about either of them. All right. Ionic, I don't give a fuck about them either. Then tomorrow morning, you have Air Canada. Yeah, wow. A lot of companies I don't give a shit about. So earnings don't matter this week. Let's talk about next week's earnings. Next week's earnings are interesting. You have two in particular bangers next week. And it's weird again because I'm assuming everyone knows. Applied Materials is next week. And who is the other one? It's Oracle, right? I thought Oracle was next week. Oh, I guess not. But yeah, Applied Materials should do well. I'd be shocked if they didn't, given what we heard from KLA, given what we had heard from Lamb. Zim. It'd be nice to see them drop tomorrow. But Applied should do pretty well. That would be the expectation. Because every other semi-cap has done well. Now, this could be a Cigna thing, though, where they're the last to report of the cycle of their peers, and they already got lifted based on those, so I don't know what that looks like. Thank you. Palo Alto's next week as well. Palo Alto's scary as shit. Palo Alto is frightening. I love the company. It is a little worrisome that they moved their presentation, their earnings report, to a Friday aftermarket. Guys, we don't see a lot of Friday aftermarket closes. Here's what I hope is happening. All right. What I hope is happening is that on the phone call, basically, the CEO, Nitesh, comes out and says, from now on, we're going to do what Berkshire does. We're going to hold our earnings calls from now on into the future over the weekend to give the market time to digest it. I wish more companies would do that. That's what I want to see. We did look at the Morgan Stanley research note that basically said all their channel checks on Palo Alto are positive. All right. Fortinet did shitty. People are concerned about that. And Palo Alto specifically having an earnings call on Friday after market has crushed the stock. Yet all the fundamentals that the research groups are looking at, they claim are positive. Give me liquidity. Sounds like he's worried about his job. Who? Nitesh, CEO of Palo Alto? He shouldn't be. He shouldn't be. This company is very highly regarded right now. Not regarded like you guys, like regarded in a positive way. Mm-hmm. Oh, Padres fan. What ticker is reporting the end of their peers? Applied Materials. AMAT. AMAT. Yeah. So Palo Alto could get interesting. I mean, look at this fucking chart. You got a pretty big gap here. Padres fan, be careful. Do I have a position in Palo Alto? I have a small position in Palo Alto. Let's see. No, my fault. My position dies tomorrow. It's worth $13 today. Yeah. It was a $400 bet, so that's fine. I did put some of my IRA. Yeah, very. I have like I think like 50 shares, something like that in Palo Alto. But I have my phone, iPad, iPad. But yeah, Palo Alto, really good company. Brutal setup for next week. You're coming off of Fortinet reporting like shit. No, I did not ever get the new iPad. No, I was like, I can't justify it. Can't. I want to like Palo Alto. Depending on how the price action works out tomorrow, I may initiate a position to cover earnings. It would be a total gamble. A total gamble. You'd have to bet on two things. Number one, they outperform Fortinet. And two, that the entire fact that they are reporting aftermarket on a Friday is not a negative. The iPad mini's cool. Not the bigger one. As many guys will point out, I am a size queen. Whoa, Caffeine, thank you for the gift subs. Greatly appreciated, my homie. Rad, you forget. Do I watch WWE? Occasionally, yes. Thank you very much for those gift subs. Towards that new iPad. Thank you very much. Dude, Logan Paul, fuck off. Logan Paul's good. I know. I know. Democratic Republic of Congo Central Bank has hiked its main interest rate to 25%, up from 11%. Radass, did I catch SummerSlam? Yep, I actually watched it. I watched SummerSlam, and it was very good. It was a good pay-per-view. What broker do I... Oh, okay, I use TD Ameritrade for my DGen account. Then my 401k is through... or my IRA now is through Vanguard. Vanguard's app sucks. I actually just use the web, the browser, to do any kind of options trading, which is very small. The vast majority of my 401k now, I only use options to supplement. I have like a 75 to 80% rule where 75 to 80% of the account's always in shares now. Acknowledge the tribal chief. Agreed. Thoughts on Jimmy turning on Jay? I didn't like that. I don't. I think there was a better way they could have played it. Like, let Roman win through all the outside interference, for example, and then set up to basically, like, have the, quote, like, the family elders come back and bitch about him for having tribal combat means no one should have interfered. Instead of having, like, Jimmy rush in. Yeah. Guac overload. Logan Paul is good. That's sarcastic, right? Not at all. No. Logan Paul. And it's not just the athleticism. He's very athletic. He's very, like, technically skilled. Logan Paul is one of the best at selling in that entire company. And I've watched wrestling for over 30 years. All right? I've watched wrestling for over 30 years. Logan Paul, like in the WrestleMania match against Seth Rollins, at one point, Seth Rollins stomped his hand on the steps. And if you watch for the rest of that match, Logan Paul actually sold his hand, even while doing other moves. That's something you notice that a lot of other wrestlers just, like, they take one shot to the knee, etc., and they basically ignore it whenever they're doing their offense. Yeah, you want to see him get his ass kicked. You want to see him die. Oh, he's a great heel, but, like, he is so fucking good. The timing is amazing. Yeah, it sucks to admit. Rad, there's a chance he actually hurt his hand. Then he sold it well. He sold it well. Yeah, the day they try to make Logan Paul into a babyface or a hero, wrong fucking move. Logan Paul, you should want to see die. But yeah, when he got his hand stomped, specifically like that match, and I see that previously some of the other Logan Paul's matches, Logan Paul, like, he sells. There's a difference between, quote, bumping and selling. Bumping is when you get hit by something, you fall, right? Selling is then afterward, how do you get up? How does it register? Did you just get punched? Does it look like you just got punched? Yeah. Logan's a great heel, but one day he's going to have to be a babyface, and it's going to be shockingly likable. If he ever becomes a babyface, it's going to basically be because some dastardly person does some devious shit to him. Soren Kiwi asked, I see the before and after? No, I want to see this. I saw the after pics. Jesus. That's brutal. Before, paradise. After, what a fucking disaster. Whole thing scorched. Miz has by far the best WWE career arc. Either him or Diamond Dallas Page. I'm old school. That is really bad. Yeah, thanks for that share. Ooh, it's brutal. What's the spy doing? Big dumb investor. What caused that fire, by the way? What did cause that fire? I don't even know. Right. Just picture it. The Bloodline is running in to stop Cody Rhodes from finally ending Roman's title at WrestleMania. But wait, Logan Paul comes out of nowhere and takes on Solo, Jimmy, and Jay to save Cody and let him earn the belt. Interesting. Friend of yours lost her house in Maui. Oh, God. I like the photo, like showing. I don't like what happened. How about that? So it was winds from Hurricane Dora, and I assume there was already like a fire, basically. So then the winds just spurred on the fire. Ouch. By the way, Rad, I caught all sorts of hell in the squared circle subreddits. Um, SummerSlam discussion thread went early on in the match between Roman and Jay. I was like, fuck it. I hope Jay wins. Then Damian Priest cashes in on him. Just remove the title completely from them. Fuck all the storylines. Fuck them all. Pulling Io Sky. God, she is so good. The women's division's insane, by the way. Alabama Doc Brawl greater than SummerSlam. No disagreements. No disagreements. Yeah, y'all know the weather's been pretty fucked up recently, right? Have you guys seen any of the images from Beijing? Like Beijing's floods? I'll show you one. This was their airport. In case you're wondering, you can't fly. Hold on, that's a shitty. That's a better picture. Deja Vu says hydroplane. Damn. Chad says, imagine living anywhere near water with global warming. The interesting thing about this, I think we talked about this before, but it turns out in the past decades or so, through marine shipping, it turns out we were doing a little bit of geoengineering. Little bit of geoengineering, where then all of a sudden we put scrubbers on boats, scrubbed a lot of the sulfur particulates out of the bunker fuel they'd burn, and now the skies have never been clearer, which means more sunlight gets absorbed. What'd you miss about Disney? Their earnings weren't bad. They anticipate getting more free cash flow moving forward, not only through cracking down on password sharing and increasing prices, but also because the actors' strike is going to prevent them from spending too much on content. That was the headline, but I don't think the body confirmed it. That's true. That's true. Hey, Bill, what's the summary of today? Market go up, market go down, market go up. Market end today flat. Now, CPI was very good this morning. Correction. CPI was good this morning. Headline CPI was 0.16% month over month. That's what matters. That's what matters. Core was also good. The weird thing about it, or at least the kind of, if you are an inflation dove, or shall I say a bull, okay, where you think inflation's not substantially a problem provided commodities doesn't explode, which they could, all right, then what's really encouraging about this report is we're still not getting big drops in shelter, and we're still printing low month-over-month inflation rates. Take care, Guac. Bill, what brought it down after? We didn't see a specific reason why. But one thing to note is that while the SPY moved, the 10-year yield did not early on in the morning. So bonds didn't particularly care about what happened. You can see it was very choppy, but there wasn't a direct movement, really. Hey, Tim, how you doing? Higher for longer. You can keep spouting off your quotes. That's fine. But notice something. Inflation was 0.2. By the way, Fed funds rate does not think we're getting a hike now. Ooh, basically, guys, about to interview at a shop based out of the Bay Area. You live in Portland right now. You're debating the cost of living move to the Bay Area. Pay is considerably more, but wondering if it's worth it. I've always had that challenge where back when I was corporate, I had numerous opportunities to move out to San Francisco. And every time I'd always tell the recruiter, I'm like, respectfully speaking, no, because the amount of money it would take to move me out, I don't think I'm worth. What is the bull thesis for the 10-year if you think inflation will speed up? That's the bear case. I think inflation's not speeding up. Can I look at Sono? Sure. Sonos down. Weren't they up earlier? They started up. Well, I can see why. Electronics company doesn't make much money, doesn't return capital, expands share count, and trades at a higher premium than Apple. Yeah, I would rather buy Apple than these guys. Look at WWE. They're doing well. And they're breaking out. It's all-time high. The BLS report had a cutoff date before accounting for the commodity price increases we are witnessing. Keep this in mind about commodities. This, I think, is poorly understood. How commodities feature into inflation prints is a little bit more nuanced than people expect. So, for example, oil moves up 20%. Does not mean everything immediately goes up 20%. Oftentimes it's because there's an entire supply chain, inventory, etc., that has to get burned through before it ever hits it. But yeah, I know the commodity argument. I get it. But if you look at what the actual details on the CPI report, I will worry about commodities if we see them significantly go up. And even now, looking at, for example, West Texas, all right? You can see you've had a pretty big increase, right? Hasn't filtered up yet. Big cap market maker. Oil moving up 20% means gas goes up 30%. Nope. Not always. Not always. But yeah, we've been listening for months now to everyone saying commodities, we're going to pick up and cause a dramatic spike. And the funny thing is check out some of these commodities in question. I remember when lumber was the previous one that people were looking at. Where's lumber? What? They remove lumber from... The fuck did lumber go? Oh, here we go. I should be able to pull it up. Remember when everyone was talking about, oh, we'll get the lumber increase. I can pull up copper. Copper looks like shit. I can pull up soybeans, wheat, and corn. They all look like shit, by the way. Windy. Commodities going to PPI, you noobs. That's actually true as well. If Intel doesn't acquire Tower Semi, they owe them like $300 million. That's not a big deal. Yeah, $300 million pocket change. But yeah, I mean, like, look at some of these commodities. You're gonna see some disgusting trends. Like everyone who keeps telling you, like, you know, up commodities are ramping up. No, oil is. Most of the other commodities actually look kind of like shit. Copper's way too cheap. I think this is stupid. This one's... I'll always be a copper fan. Look at natural gas undoing yesterday's move, or at least trying to. Right? Washington gas prices are dumb right now. So is California's. A lot of these states that I keep slapping on, you know, as Tim points out, like some of the increasing taxes. Otherwise, there's kind of their non-tax policies of like they have specific like requirements for blending and different additives, etc. So like California, gasoline is different than gasoline pretty much anywhere else. Promo says nat gas is in a bottoming process. Good chance it'll be higher soon. That could be. I mean, keep in mind, particularly on the gasoline side. Here's my question. All right. So here you see what it looks like now. All right. This year was an anomaly. Let's just call it that. Let's look back in traditional time periods. After August finished, you had about a month off. After August finished, you had about 2 months off. That's still COVID times. So yeah, these are bad examples. My understanding specifically on gasoline is in the United States, we're coming out of peak driving season. Washington doesn't have an income tax they make up for with other taxes. Yep, sounds about right. Yeah, so I would just be cautious on the quote commodities rising are going to spur inflation because most commodities do not look like they're rising. Oil does. Oil is not everything. Oil is not. See if the SPY is still being a bitch. It is absolutely still being a bitch. It cannot help itself. It just feels inclined to do bitch things. Here's interesting news, by the way. Amazon is dropping some of their private brands. Anyone see that? Your generator, since June 1st, coal price up 22%, nat gas price up 36%, crude oil price up 24%. Did you miss the part where I just pointed out other commodities? Congrats, you got 3 of them associated with energy. All right, cool. Right? Copper looked like shit. All right. Ready? Soybeans. Soybeans are actually one of the better looking of the, quote, grains or foods. That's not optimistic, what you see right here. It's been flat for a month and a half. All right, you already had the increase there. Look at corn. Corn fucking died. Energy makes up a big percent. What's the percentage energy makes, Promo? Is it 7? 7%? Also, what component of core is energy? Everyone? Gold doesn't matter. It affects other commodity prices for production, does it not? Not as directly as one would expect. Put it this way, we are keeping our eyes on it. Yeah, I believe specifically of, well, first of all, for core, yeah, it's 0%. Am I bearish on gold all day, every day? Peter Schiff never gets to win. Yep, MP Task is correct. Anyway, let's stop talking about commodities. Okay, if commodities go up significantly, we'll cover it then. We're keeping our eye on it. We are keeping our eye on commodities. That's our one concern, by the way, for inflation, is if you do see commodities going up. But watching the commodity bulls jerk themselves off, when for the past 6 months, I've literally heard from numerous of you fuckers on here telling me, just wait until commodities go up. Wait till commodities go up. Yeah, you said that when inflation was 5%, and now we're at 3.2. Just saying. Yeah. With Amazon, getting ahead of the FTC, Department of Justice, is the case. Look. The story here is that Amazon is facing antitrust efforts because what do? Amazon not just sells other brands, but they then produce their own private brands who then end up competing against you and oftentimes undercutting you on price. Everyone knows this is the #1 target for Amazon in any antitrust. It's the idea that if you are a business selling through Amazon, Amazon can one day use all the data to create a rival product for cheaper and essentially put you out of business. That's through their private branding efforts. They're now saying preemptively they're going to close like 30 of their private brands. That's a big deal. That's a big deal. That last 1% on inflation rate is always the hardest to kill. I mean, you're not wrong. The funny thing is that if you use 3 months, the last 3 months of CPI and annualize it, we're at 1.9% headline inflation. We're actually at target already. The problem is everyone's like, oh no, but what happened 10 months ago and 11 months ago matters. No, it doesn't. It doesn't. The buyout price for WWE is 106. It's over 114 now. Isn't their buyout weird though? Like it's some kind of like shared stock deal. It's not cash. I know that much. I know it's not a cash deal. Why can't Activision Blizzard go over 96? There was a really good post in V-Bears about that actually. Let me pull it up. Well, comment rather. Here we go. This is from Blue Wolf. Exited his Activision Blizzard position from last yellow update. All right. The CAT Tribunal, this is the group in the UK, released a document from the UK CMA on the agreement to pause the previous appeal with Microsoft. It outlined how high the standard would be for Microsoft to prevail and how the preliminary views due soon would be followed by another 7-day public comment period. The FTC is still going through its appeal to get the preliminary injunction, which they will fail. It's a slow process that will take until October to resolve since their emergency appeal is declined. Overall, I had assumed that Microsoft had a solid back channel deal in place with the UK CMA. However, there are signs this isn't the case. I keep going back to my last YOLO update post to that interview with CMA head that stated their initial decision was correct and Microsoft must do a divestiture to potentially get approval. Microsoft seems to instead be trying to get approval without said divestiture, as details on the adoption remain elusive. At this point, as the FOSS Patents Twitter space admits, a divestiture submission would likely take a couple of months now. Ed Manicus, no way Amazon is putting on a good faith gesture of closing 30 profitable businesses. Either FTC applying pressure or they are not profitable. That I would disagree with 100%. 110%. Has to do with what's your definition of the word profitable in this case. If Amazon goes in front of a massive, years-long potential FTC case where the outcome could break Amazon into many pieces over this one practice, then yes, them selling out of their first-party business where they make an extra 1 or 2% on their retail side and just instead focus on third-party where they literally just serve as a tax is better. That's what I'd say. Amazon famously ripped off the Peak Design everyday carry bag, and Peak Design made an incredible video on how shitty the quality was. Sounds about right. Yeah, basically, Ed, my anticipation is Amazon does this to head off the overall challenges. Not even about FTC applying pressure at this point. Everyone knows this is what FTC would target, so that's why. Jay, if today's price base rises 2.1%, people are screwed on personal spending is going to crash. And today, many people are buying basic needs on credit cards. We need a big drop in prices to stabilize. No. Again, I hear you, right? I just don't think you're right. Yeah, I'm with Prometheum. First party is terrible for Amazon's margins. You're not even sure it's worth it, really. I think they had to build themselves up. Well, I guess technically first party came later. First party felt like an attempt to optimize and make an extra % or two, which did really well when Amazon didn't. I think when the marketplace wasn't as well developed, and plus they didn't have the cash cow known as AWS. Yeah, suck on my nuts. That's the thing. Like the WWE deal with Endeavor is substantially different than just the cash offering that Microsoft was offering up for Activision Blizzard. Yeah. Anyone buying Johnson & Johnson next week with the Kenview offer? I don't know. I mean, we talked about it earlier. There is a large option, or at least there was a large option position, the $210 calls and puts for Johnson & Johnson. Tim says, how do you create discretionary spend again? You just say raise wages, but that's not realistic. Real wages go up when inflation goes down. So as inflation goes down, people's purchasing power increases. You don't have to increase wages. People have the capability to buy more, right? So essentially, reducing inflation itself causes real incomes, real being nominal minus inflation, to go up. And that's what people are spending. That's why. Anyway. The one thing that I will chuckle about is you point out, like before, you're like, oh, but people are already using credit cards to pay for essentials. Like, no, they're not. Don't know why everyone's so fucking wrong about this. Stop listening to Zero Hedge or other Pete Bears selling Substacks who don't bother to take the data in context and say, here's what total debt is, here's how many people are in the population, and by the way, this is their income level. You'd realize really quickly that effective interest rates or interest payments right now in America are still below pre-pandemic trends. It's not a problem. Oh, market on close imbalance is $1.5 billion to the sell side. See, Wendy's correct. Credit card debt is actually down. That's a bigger issue. Savings rate also is up. By the way, before recessions, everyone seems to make this wonderful assumption, which is when the economy is getting bad, people save less. No, they save more. Where is that data? I'm not going to pull it all up for you right now. It's out there, though. I assure you. Your Helioc rate, that could be an issue, Milwaukee Blizzard, yeah. That could be an issue, yeah. Anyway, guys, the market on close imbalance is 1.5 billion to the sell side. That's a buy indicator. Wild to think it's true. Market on close of any predictive power, you don't get it. Exotic Sealed looked at it. He found the only time it had any even correlation was specifically when it was a sell order over 1 billion. Otherwise, every other time had nothing. Chad, you missed this morning. Did I like the inflation data? Yes, it was kind of boring. It was as expected. We didn't get big decreases, by the way, in the shelter component. One of the bigger shocks was we saw airline ticket prices go down. That was fascinating. But yeah, promo. Exotic Seal's been posting about it all throughout Discord. He says it's the only time it matters specifically is if it's a sell and if it's over 1 billion. Otherwise, it has meant nothing. Tim, again, I don't know. I don't think that's true. You're basing those numbers off of people like you. Everyone seems to think that they are the example for what data extrapolates. Right? Supercore went up. Yeah, I think I saw that. But yeah, but tell them how much, right? That was not what I was looking for. Yep, so here we go. Core services CPI less shelter 0.22% month over month. Yep. Now it's interesting when you compare to where it was about a year ago, 0.52, 0.8. The closest we had, except for the prior 2 months, was 0.22. Mm-hmm. Yeah, Padres fan, we are going to end flat on the day. It's my expectation. I want to see it just perfect flat, perfect zeros, goose eggs all around. Small caps cannot catch a break. Tech doing a bit better than SPY. Access to NVIDIA H100 GPU compute is essentially sold out until 2024. AI startups are starting to worry they won't be able to acquire the needed GPU capacity to serve their models. Oof. From a quote from Matt, anyone who's being reasonable in their logistics and resource planning is looking at Q1 2024 to Q2 2024. We're starting to make purchases for our deployments in Q2 and Q3 of next year. Yeah. Padres fan, but the tech top is in. It could be, yeah. Ed says, when they say to the sell side, does that mean sellers are selling, thus it's a buy signal? I don't know why it's considered a buy signal. We've had someone do analysis on it, and recently it's held up. So I'm trusting him. But yeah, it's basically people selling, specifically institutes. By the way, interesting is that Stacy Raskin liked this comment. He's the number one analyst we follow. So I'm not going to say it's specific like endorsement, but it feels that way. FinDivvy, you did call that before. You like buying on Thursdays. I did buy some next weekly SPY 449s. I guess it's not just, yeah, any normal broker is probably. It's probably not just institutes, yep. Time. Well played, well played, well played. The SPY. Oh, look at this. 0.05%. We were green. We were red. We were green. A little bit red. Now we end today, a little bit green. Anyway, friends, let's go ahead and give the point to the Bears. Well played, well played, well played. And guys, today we literally do not give a shit about a single company's earnings. Ionic, I don't give a fuck. By the way, they don't report till 7 o'clock, so we definitely don't care. Indie Semiconductors at 4:30, I also don't care. Onto's at 4:05, I still don't care. So thank you very much, folks, for tuning in. It sucks we don't get real earnings. But earnings have been kind of interesting the last, 2 or 3 weeks. So, hey, we'll take the day off, right? Let me ask you. Marry, fuck, kill. Go on. Hey, Lugdor. Hey, Lugdor, hold on. Who's the person you mentioned we should be rating? Some notes on Ionic. Interesting. Kip Boga. Sure. Yeah. Hold on. No, that's he's big. Algo Bro. That's right. That's the one. All right, folks. This apparently is a wonderful person. All right. Anyway, guys, thank you very much, and I will catch you all tomorrow. Peace out, my friends. And be nice to this guy. He's supposedly cool. Ain't shit with a hot tub. Take care, Regenerator.